Hey, I hope you're well. In this video, I'm going to tell you why, if you're an e-commerce brand, it's not SEO that you want. It's not PPC that you want. It is, in fact, sales that you want. And I'm going to tell you exactly how to get more of them. Let's get into it. So, picture the scene. Whenever a potential client phones our agency and wants to talk about their digital marketing, the conversation will often go like this. They will say from the very outset, we want to do SEO, or we're doing PPC and it's not working and therefore we want to have a chat. But it's always service-led. It's always, we want to do SEO, we want to do PPC. And I always have to interject and I always have to say, look, let's just stop there because it's not actually SEO or PPC that you want. What it is sales. So let's put the SEO and the PPC to one side. Let's reframe the conversation and let's have a business conversation and let's talk sales. Let's talk revenue, sales numbers, business planning, etc. And often that catches quite a few brands off guard because either they're not ready for it or they're not expecting it. A lot of agencies just go, yes, we can sell you our SEO services. Yes, of course we can. No, we don't do that. What we want to understand is how can we actually move the needle for a brand. The way you can do that is to understand their business plan. So the first thing that I challenge a brand on is I say, look, let's talk about the business numbers. Explain your numbers to me. So what does success look like for your brand in the next year, 2, 3? What are you trying to achieve? And at that point, some brands are able to answer that. Yep, fine. Success for us looks like this. Others, they're not so sure. And so they have to go back to some number crunching. And that's absolutely fine if you do need to crunch the numbers. But it's key to understand what does success look like. Okay, well, right now we're doing £1 million online revenue, and by next year we want to be doing 1.5, and then in 3 years we want to be a £3 million business. Whatever it looks like, getting those numbers down on paper is really, really important. And these are sort of top line kind of e-commerce, direct, D2C, so direct to consumer stuff. Put your wholesale. I mean, you can factor in your wholesale, but that might be a separate entity if it's a separate part of the business. But it's understanding those numbers and getting those jotted down. Once you've got what success is going to look like in the next year or two down, then it's about understanding, right, well, where are we today? So as a business, what is our online, our e-commerce revenue doing today? How much? Okay, well, right now we're doing $1 million, or we're doing, 2 million or 5 million, or what does that look like right now? And then once you understand that, it's then a case of going back a little bit and going, well, what does it look like a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and getting those numbers on paper and writing them down. And there's a reason for doing all of this, because once you have that, well, this is where we were, this is where we are today, and this is what it looks like at an overall e-commerce revenue generation standpoint. Once you have that, you then move to the next phase, which again is still not talking about SEO and PPC. We're still not there yet. We still put that over there. We're not getting near that just yet. The second phase is to then understand, well, that's where we were, where we are, where we want to go. Now let's break it down and go channel specific. So now let's understand, what did our SEO, what value were we getting from our SEO, our PPC, our social media, our referrers, our shopping, our this, that, the other. What did that look like 2 or 3 years ago? What does that look like today? And you can pull all this data out of your, analytics and all of your platforms, and getting that down on paper. And it's really, really important that you do this. So what did it look like in the past, or in the last couple of years? What does it look like today? So as it stands today, what is our reliance as a brand on SEO, on PPC, etc., etc.? And then once you understand that, it's a case of going, right, so looking ahead at a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, are we happy with our current split, our reliance on these channels, or is it still off the mark? Do we need to make some changes? Do we need things, we're too reliant on this channel, or we don't, have enough, our SEO is lacking in visibility, or, we're too reliant on running PPC, or we're all of our sales or whatever it leads are coming in via, social media advertising. Are we happy with the split or not? And then, yes, we are, no, we're not. That will serve as a conversation starter for thinking about what a year from now. In a year from now, I want a better split. In a year from now, I don't want to be so reliant on this. In a year from now, I want to be investing more on that channel and seeing the same or better levels of return. Or a year from now, I want to be doing more of this or more of that, or what. And therein, understanding where you are today enables you to plan better moving forward. And once you're able to do that, and I should also say as well, what you can then do is you can think about the brand versus non-brand, because that's a really key element for a lot of e-commerce brands. They just don't split. You know, they look at their overall and go, oh, okay, well, SEO is doing great or PPC is doing great. Do you understand the split of how much of that is branded traffic, i.e. traffic that people know you, they like you, they're returning, which we need, we value that traffic, but the lifeblood of a business is in new customers. So it's just good to split it off and split it off per channel. Really, really important to do as best as possible. Because then you get a truer sense of how you're actually performing. And only once you've got all that data, only when you understand as a business overall revenue, where we were, where we are, where we're headed, and then channel specific, where we were, where we are, where we're headed. Only once you understand those two things, plus the third thing is the brand versus non-brand, then can you sort of look ahead and go, right, so now let's bring the SEO and the PPC back on the table. Now let's talk about that. And let's now get into, right, well, what, you know, are we happy with the current proportion of sales, of revenue that's coming via SEO, organic or direct, or via PPC or via shopping or whatever it might be? And that is when you can then get in and go, yeah, I'm happy with that. All right. And from there, you're able actually to then work out, well, look, if we're currently getting X amount of revenue from our paid and we're investing Y amount, well, do we want to incrementally increase that investment in paid, as long as we can proportionally maintain the same level of return, or we're not getting a return, and therefore we need to change tack or whatever. Same with SEO. Are we happy with the balance? And right now, you know, only 5% of our sales are coming in via organic channels, and we're massively reliant on paid. That's quite a common scenario. Therefore, in a year or two from now, do we want to change that? Because common things that a lot of brands see is, it's getting more expensive every year. We're getting a decreasing return year on year. We're at the mercy of our competitions. If they go and triple their budgets, you have to triple your budgets. These are all the common issues that we see. And a lot of brands want the SEO because they can see the value in it. You're not then paying per click. Once you rank, if you do it well, you kind of stay there pretty consistently. And it's just a consistent source of clicks and of users and therefore of revenue. So it's a really valuable thing, but they want it now. It's not going to happen now. It takes some time. It takes consistency. It takes momentum. But it's understanding all of these things that enables you to essentially map out and plan a digital strategy that is going to be, you know, a single channel or an omni-channel approach, but it's going to enable you to do it in a far more data-driven way, which means you're not effectively putting the cart before the horse, which is what so many brands do. Is they want to just go, we're doing SEO and it's not working, or, you know, we want to increase our activity, or we want to do more paid, without actually taking a step back, looking at the bigger picture and actually kind of understanding, well, as a business, what split have we got? It's the first thing that is so key to understand, is where were we, where are we, where do we want to go as an overall business plan, and then per channel, where were we, where are we, and what do we want that channel split to look like? It's so simple, but it's absolutely vital. And it's the conversation I take every single prospect that I talk to through exactly that process. And it's one of the reasons why whenever we're talking to a prospect, I always insist that we get access to their data. And I have to know the numbers. We often go, you know, we sign NDAs and then we have to, and the reason for that is because I have to understand the business plan, as I say, where you were, where you are, where you want to head. And then I have to be able to access the data to be able to see the split. And it always amazes me why, when I talk to prospects, and often we'll go into like competitive pitches or whatever, and I'm always amazed by, and I've had it a few times recently, where they say, you know, the brand that we're talking to will say, oh, you're the only agency that's asked for access to the data, to analytics, you know, to Search Console, to our ad account. That blows my mind, because I'm like, if you're an agency and you're not asking for that data, how you're completely shooting in the dark. You have no clue on that business perspective, which is absolutely vital. You have to know that. So that's just a little segue, but it always amazes me. But hopefully it makes sense, right? You can see why that's just logical. You have to understand that, and it enables you to make far better, more data-driven decisions. And then you're able to work out, and from there, you can then take it a step further. You can then start to work out, well, if we invest X, what kind of level of return can we expect? And you can just work out the numbers, and you're able to then craft, and I'm able to then go back to a brand pretty quickly and then say, well, right, look, if you want to hit this amount of, you know, of revenue, if you want to increase your revenue by 20% in the next year, then proportionally, we see that 20% coming from 10% from paid, of which case to deliver that 10%, you're going to have to invest X amount more. And then from, you know, you want your SEO to go from bringing 5% of your revenue into 10 or 15 or 20% in the next year. Right, that is going to look like, you know, and then you get into the weeds on an SEO strategy. And for that, you know, we're going away, we're looking at the level of competition, the opportunity for growth, and so on and so forth. And you start to reverse engineer it and you work it out from there. And the same is true for social media, just, you know, all channels. But it's, you have to go for that thing. So if you're a brand and if you're internally or with an agency, if you're discussing your digital marketing, your level of investment and what that needs to do, just take a minute, take a step back and actually think, right, let's not say we just need to do the SEO, or we, you know, don't put the media first. Don't think of it as the channel specific first. Take a step back and look at it and think from a business perspective, what have we done? What are we doing currently? And what do we want? What does it look like when it's finished? What does it look like in a year or two from now? And then from there, use that as your catalyst and a way of figuring it all out. That's what we do, and it works really well. And we see so many brands that we talk to have these light bulb moments where they're like, I didn't know that split. I didn't know we were, you know, I knew our organic was only bringing in 10%, but I didn't realize that all of that was coming in brand, you know, or I didn't realize we were so 80% reliant on paid social ads. I didn't realize that, you know, it's things like that. And it's understanding the ROI on a per channel basis. And once you can figure that stuff out, then you're off to the races. All right. Hope it's useful. That's just how we do it. And it's just, I have these conversations with prospects pretty much every single week. And I always am reiterating the same point again and again and again. So I thought it might be useful for anyone that watches this. All right. All the best. Speak soon. Take care.